I felt 3 bullets enter my back. Nothing came out of the front. Hassan scraped around the back of the truck. I had a quicker option: bend out a side plate of the chassis for instant cover. When I finally looked towards the assassin, he had his back to us. There was a loud bang. A red mist burst in the air over the zombie crowd further down the causeway. The assassin pointed in our direction, and the zombies sprung to life into a run. Hassan's submachine gun echoed inside the truck, shooting out the front hatches. I fired too, but we were out of the effective range of my shotgun. The zombies blew past the assassin and rushed us. A sweep of the shotgun toppled them over, yet they were quickly lunging back up. Hassan shouted that we were reversing. I latched onto the side of the truck right as the wheels dug into the gravel road. No way we could reverse faster than the zombies, but there were actually other ways to go aside from back. There was down. Couldn't tell if it was an accident when the back end of the truck slipped on the edge of the road. Hassan was already twisting the steering wheel to get an extra moment of distance from the zombies, so we curved right off the edge onto the steep decline. We rushed quickly towards the highest of the quarry roads. My legs were dragging on the ground, and once we were going fast, this proved to be both very painful and a solid anchor. I was pulled from the truck and rolled chaotically down to the road. The treacherous shotgun remained lodged in the mud about a third of the way up. Beyond it, the zombies were tumbling with even less grace than I, and the assassin looked on in amusement at the ridge. I looked back for the truck. I caught the end of it slipping out of view down the next slope, riding on its side and shedding cargo. I pushed myself off and saw it begin to roll. No sign of Hassan. Bullets thwacked into the dirt around me, and the most athletic of the zombies unfurled off the hill and jumped my way. I caught the guy in mid-air, span around, then catapulted him down the next hill. Immediately realized that probably wouldn't kill it. I slid after the truck, hearing a few more shots echo in the pit. I passed the next road, stooping to swipe up a bundle of pistol magazines that had escaped the truck, then dropped it again after my slide down the next slope got out of control. The truck was rolling to a halt at the quarry bottom, ramming up against a pile of gravel stones for a softish finish. The zombie I'd thrown was lying in a pile of its own flesh, bones sticking out everywhere, immobile at least. Hassan was alive inside the truck. I pushed it upright to help out, then grabbed my assault rifle from the back. The zombies were careening towards me, but it was the assassin I was looking for. Couldn't see him. I knocked on the side of the truck and told Hassan to get it together, then started bursting shots towards the zombies. 30 or so in all, big and small, a few really monstrous ones, the super zombies, and a wide-shouldered guy in black leather, a me mutant. He had a bandolier around his chest, and I realized what it was right before it blew him up on the final part of the fall. Several other zombies were scattered in pieces, and a rain of hot blood splashed me. Thanks, man. By the time I was done fishing another magazine from the back, the zombies were close by. Here's the problem: Hassan was breathing. They bashed on the front of the truck and tried to reach in for her. I shouted again for her to snap out of her daze, as if it was all her fault, and unleashed another round of shooting at close quarters. When the magazine was empty, I went in for a melee, finding my strength ample to cast the zombies aside or batter their bodies. I heard movement inside the truck, and Hassan let out a scream. Good news. In a moment I had fire support from the hatch, and together with some solid kicking, I rendered the zombies' legs unusable. Then I applied the revolver to their heads to quiet them down for a while. With still no sign of the assassin, I asked Hassan if the engine worked. It was currently off, and stayed that way when she tried the ignition. I removed the torn-up hazmat suit and geared up with my jacket and holsters. That thing he was driving must have fuel, Hassan reasoned. I looked at the slope and assessed its climbability. Didn't doubt that I could do it, but Hassan was an open question. The other option was the road that spiraled up and out of the pit around the edge. It would have to be that. Yet there was no point planning anything until the assassin was dealt with. I invited Hassan outside, to no avail. When she tried to turn and crawl out of the truck, the true extent of her injuries made itself known. I threw out the cargo to make easy passage, then started trying to lift her onto my back while stooped over below the frayed remnants of the roof. It was then we heard the bellowing engine of that huge dump truck. It was rolling down our escape route, circling closer. I started dragging Hassan harder, but she violently protested and demanded to be left behind. "I know it hurts. Focus on me. We're going to hide," I said. "You hide. Go do it. Leave me," she insisted. I'd got her out of the seat and onto my back, but she wasn't hanging on and slid to the ground. She resisted being picked up, and finally I granted her wish for a minute while I emptied another magazine at the dump truck, speeding past the final tier of the road beside us. This did nothing at all. It was for my sake really, doing something to break the despair. Inside the truck, Hassan was opening a grey case with one hand. Grenades, cushioned in there by bundles of foam ripped out of a couch. Thought she might be planning something stupid, so I snatched them away. "It might work," she said, nodding at me. Didn't really know what she was getting at, yet there was a simple plan that came to mind. I pocketed a couple and held one in my hand. The dumper hit the quarry floor on the other side of the basin from us and now roared our way. I dashed out to meet it. My chest was throbbing with pain and running made it much worse. The truck swerved around the various abandoned conveyor machines and waste piles, forcing it to slow towards the middle of the quarry. That was my chance, I thought. Running right up in front of it, with the pin already gone on the first grenade, I held the handle closed for a couple of seconds, then hurled it at the truck. It fell low and bounced on the gigantic radiator sticking out the front like a pig's nose, then blew up in the air. I pulled out a second one. The truck had turned to gun right at me, but getting closer made my attack easier too. I launched the next grenade with all my might, which was a lot. It shattered the window on the cab and thudded into the headrest of the seat beside the assassin. Bingo. When it blew, the cab lit up for a split second before belching out glass and metal in all directions. Must have been a few body parts in there too. The truck quickly halted under its own weight on the soft ground. I stood with the assault rifle pointed at the smoky cab. Couldn't see much inside, although I didn't want there to be anything to see, so that wasn't such an issue. When the smoke cleared up a little, I confirmed it was empty and bloody. The doors were open. I moved closer, my gun sniffing at the cover afforded by the huge tires. There were piles of black stone spoil to the left and right. I thought about climbing up one for a better vantage. Then I saw something move between the truck's wheels. I saw that it was him, or part of him, right as his muzzle flashed. It felt like I blinked, then I was looking at the blue sky. The pain was all over, continuous, and I couldn't even think about moving. The hit was in my neck, I think, and went right through the spine. Something swept in overhead and burst with a white fire that descended upon me. I burned horribly, the clothes lasting no more than a second. I was trying to move, but it all got washed out to a pitiful squirm. Only thing moving right was my eyes, one of which was pretty much on fire. So yeah, things took a turn for the worse. I saw him saunter up, missing the left half of his torso, with a face probably looking about as wrecked as mine did. Then I stopped seeing anything for a while. The sky returned to me. Looked weird. No depth perception left. I was still lying down, and trying to move produced not so much as a lack of movement, but a lack of the sensation that I could move. Now I know that my arms and legs had been pruned short. Moving my eye upwards, I could see the edge of the truck. I was lying beside it. To my left, Hassan lay also, more intact than I. She was tied up, as far as my blurry periphery could tell. I said her name, and she remarked that I was alive. I couldn't feel any pain, despite the situation I was in. A favour from the bacteria, perhaps. But yes, I was alive, and reported as much to her. "We lost," she said. I confirmed that also. She apologised, as did I, and that was about all we could do anymore. I could hear the assassin was in the back of the truck, rummaging. I asked Hassan what happened to her. She said the assassin ripped her out the side of the truck and tied her up right there. There were worse ways that could have gone, at least. Maybe a good time for a question, I said. What does that BB in your name stand for? Hassan groaned, then said it was something stupid. Don't worry about it, she said. All right, I said. That was the last exchange we had. The assassin appeared at what would have been my feet, wearing a tarp from the truck over his left side like a cloak. He growled and shot me in the jaw with my revolver. I think so anyway. Don't remember the actual moment of it. The next morsel of consciousness I was allowed came indoors, suspended in a cold harness. I was behind glass that looked to be tinted red. Actually, it was the air around me. Outside was a shadowy room that didn't get processed by what remained of my brain. I didn't really come back into things until I'd been placed in a plastic box and slotted into place in a medical center. I couldn't see out of the box to begin with, only the lights on the ceiling. My arms and legs were back, literally good as new. Both eyes seemed to work. Yep, still got the magic. I couldn't really move as I was strapped into that box, my strength feeling diminished, like I wasn't entirely awake. My shuffling got the attention of my captors. Doctors came over and offered me an assortment of foods. I couldn't talk. There was a brace around my neck. Trying to say something felt like straining a muscle. It was more like strumming a guitar with no strings. My throat wasn't entirely up to spec. Lousy bacteria. The real show started when my box was upended, so that I was sort of standing up. This was for the benefit of the growing crowd filing into the sterile room. Many familiar faces. Me. Ah, that one looks like me. And even one I'd seen up close already. The assassin, looking thinner than before. They all looked different, so it wasn't a total clone fest. Not that this made the situation feel any better. They joked around and compared themselves favourably to me. This went on for long enough that I thought this might be my life now, yet eventually a military man emerged from the group and gave me a smile. McNamara was written on his chest, surrounded by medals. One of them was just a Duke coin. The face? Yep, it was that kind of face. We did it, he said to me, rousing a cheer from the rest of the me's. Congratulations to our model citizen. Our vector program is already seeing results. Tried to complain. Mouth still wasn't doing anything. All of us owe a debt of gratitude to you, citizen, he went on. At last the tides of the undead are under our control, and indeed death is less of a worry, eh? The me's enjoyed this remark. You are aware of the price though, Mr. Hobb. Your inhaler is waiting for you, once you're up and about. In exchange, as for all members of the program, you only need to put in the occasional shift wrangling the lesser undead. Much safer than the way you've been doing it too. You'll be damn happy with what we've come up with. We'll be focusing on working with Madame President to re-establish her EastCom in good order, once she ponies up the down payment. Then we've a whole country, a whole world to corral. One day the West will be ours again. There's another hero out there, you know, that doctor of yours. Imagine if he'd cut your life support like so many others. We'd be, well, either in the infection zone still, or pushing up daisies in the modern sense. He named his price, and it was Westward Passage. Old school journeyman, looking for what I don't know. But he gave us all we needed. He gave us you, and the rest is history. End of one book and the beginning of the next. I should note for the record that I have no idea what he was talking about. I guess whoever was looking after me in the hospital found a sweet deal selling my comatose body to the military. It's all in the Hippocratic Oath somewhere. The colonel continued. Only thing me and these patriots haven't decided is whether we're still technically human. Been too soon to find out if we can, reproduce, huh? The me's displayed a mix of enthusiasm and embarrassment. I tried to break my bonds by channeling the awkward energy. There will be risks though, the colonel said next. He was waving his hand towards a monitor on the wall. I felt my box turn to face it. Mies were behind me too. The image on the monitor showed a whiteboard in a tent with "I quit" written on it. A naked man shambled across the frame, his skin reddish, bones poking out all over like that skin was too tight. "Recognize this one?" the colonel said with a smile. "You know, it's like your kid. That's what they've been saying. The little pieces you left, they all got bodies of their own now. Problem is the brain, you see. If you grow back without it, or not enough, it doesn't weave it all back together right. You turn into a 7-foot toddler. I don't think you nor me have much use for that." He turned the monitor off via a switch on the side. "They've been taken care of. The newest ones are suitable for flesh cultivation, actually. A discovery worth making, so thank you. I had hoped a few explosions would move things along, and yet again I knew my gut wasn't lying to me. Anyhow, thought you might want to know how much life you've been creating. Hell, we ain't even sure if us cutting our fingernails is like planting seeds, you know? We all need to be careful. There's such thing as too many of us, and such thing as not enough plankton to go around. I suppose we can save the rest of the protocol for your initiation, Vern." The colonel came right up to me, flashing his new teeth. "And don't worry about our weaknesses. We have a certain amount of power, the power to strike. Vectors decide where the undead attack, and whether the government gets to use them or not. So they'll do what we say, eh? Eh?" He turned to direct that last noise to the choir, who agreed cheerily. Good, he said. "And a warm welcome for the newest member of our team, and esteemed veteran, our founding father. A round of applause, perhaps." I got my round, and soon after I had it from other groups. I met the president, or at least saw the president meeting me. Scientists, other soldiers, plenty of regular humans. Eventually I got some words out of my mouth, and the answers to my questions didn't help much. Couldn't find out what happened to Hassan, not that I was holding on to much hope. The one that definitely knew, my nemesis, was playing dumb. Or that's what I thought to begin with. You see, all the cured patients, the Mies, they weren't massively bright. They seemed to forget things, a lot of things. I got the science on it. Their brains were dying and being remade bit by bit, so they had to spend a lot of time in training to not forget the important stuff. And the rest might as well have happened to someone else. They had only a few weeks of decent memory. That made me even more special, the perfect Vector, the one who could strategize and learn and think. The scientists, I believe, intended to use me against the Colonel to curb him. Probably a good idea, but I don't know if it's really going to play out like that. I've kinda got my own plan now. My current job is, well, to be a Vector. The system they've settled on is to put me in this cage that hangs down from a helicopter while cooking fresh plankton blooms above me with UV lights. The downdraft takes them and my scent down to ground level and collects infected below. Then our ground teams can go in with masks and wall them in, churn them up, do whatever fresh hell the engineers have designed for the new undead economy. After that, the area can be used for the living again, our ultimate clients, emerging from their hiding places on the east coast. Not so many left, yet we've more than the usual suite of ways to remedy that. The lives they're living are pretty normal, actually. Slowly but surely taking control of the old factories and the like. Not much trade, so most stuff is in short supply. But food's sorted, zombie cures sorted in a sense, although rarely actually gets used, with prevention being so good now, and Crazy Jake's roster sheet already full. The rest of civilization might come back along in time. A happy ending is possible, for some at least. Now for my theory. I believe that I'm not done developing. I believe that the scientists, the Colonel, the whole cabal know it. I believe that I can become stronger and still retain my humanity, unlike the rest. And that's the last thing they want. I know what I need. I need to evolve to incubate the aeroplankton within me somehow. Something like that. Some way to get my body to convert regular food into the weird bacteria food that stops me keeling over and turning grey. No more inhalers. Their whole plan to prevent this from happening was a one-way filter mask. When I hang in my little cage, the red mist flowing down over me contains enough nutrients to keep building me up, same as in the infection zone. All I need to do is breathe it in. So they strap me in a mask that only lets me breathe out, and supposedly their secret plan is complete. I go along with this, feigning belief in their claims that any serious mist exposure now that I'm on their daily inhalers would create a dangerous mix-up and regress me. They've had it too good, lording over the rest of my idiotic offspring. I can still see a lie, and they can't. I've customized the mask. I recognize the design from when Hassan was showing me the sabotage inflicted against the ones we bartered for. An internal layer can be subtly, almost invisibly pierced all over with a thin blade. When I breathe in, some of the mist from outside mixes into the oxygen flow. I can't switch over completely, because they'll notice the oxygen isn't being depleted in line with their expectations. The best system I've got for now is to partially breathe real air during those nights, and just hyperventilate to end up downing the oxygen by roughly the right amount. A little extra plankton, the wild stuff, does wonders. My energy has returned to me, although I'm still careful to be lethargic around the crew. The developments are slow yet sure. I'm starting to see things in more detail, in space and time, as if the world can be slowed when I concentrate. My arms, thin-looking as they are, can withstand blades and bend my metal bed frame in the night easier and easier each time I try. It's working. Yes, ultimately I didn't quit that old job of mine. My professional development remains my only hope. Now not because someone else wants it of me, but because they don't. What do I plan to do with these powers once I can hide them no longer? It's hard to say. As if I can't live without my captors, I can't leave, and the only way to test if I've somehow become self-sufficient is to starve myself of their nourishment. Harder than you think, as they're making sure I huff up my fuel. I'll think of something. And no, I'm not going to kill my way out in a mad rampage. I've taken Hassan's view on their work now, that it's good in a sense, or the best that's left for us. It really is better for the countryside to not be swarming with monsters and to be surprisingly fertile. We keep danger away from the official territories of the living, and one day those territories might spread over the world. My nemesis is in Europe at the moment, trying to get that going, at the Colonel's behest. But of course by now he's probably forgotten that he used to be from America in the first place. The scientists still take my blood from time to time, probably hoping to get a better formula going, and with my subterfuge there's a risk they'll get it. It's a risk I take because everything I do from now on is just for me. I'm not human, not zombie, not a vector, not EastCom, not American. I'm not at home. So when the time is right, I'll travel. I'll find my old house, see what's what, experience the old lands and fight whoever I have to fight to do it. And from there the escape rolls on, really. I will disappear and live forever in the wilderness until humanity retames the land and I'm driven to the edges of the world. I'm going to be the Sasquatch. Being here, under the wing of the New Order, being a Sasquatch is as much as I dare to want. And I go to work each night with a smile on my face, because I know that one day I will get my own American dream. I feel that I won't be alone in this. There are others out there, others who will make life normal for me. Hassan might be out there, tucked away, spreading rumours of the legendary zombie man who saved the world, or at the very least changed it. I want to go tell people the truth myself, and then forget it and everything else. Don't I deserve that now? Live free and hardly die, the Sasquatch Creed. Even if I'm going it alone, I'm going. Enjoy the heritage I've left behind, or come find me if you want. Can't guarantee a single thing either way. My parting advice, my wisdom for the youth of today will be, don't die. It only complicates the rest of your life.